Welcome to Stress Mess, a stressless podcast where the chaos is real, the caffeine is strong, and swearing sometimes happens, and that's okay. I'm Samantha Elizabeth, health and wellness coach, chronic overthinker, and proud BFFs to stress itself. Here we're ditching perfection, embracing unfiltered real talk, and making mindset shifts that might just keep us from screaming into the void. Let's get messy. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Stress Mess podcast, the first Stress Mess podcast of 2026. It's just me today. I know. You like it when I have guests, and I will definitely have guests. I have wonderful guests lined up for 2026, but I wanted it to be just me because I really wanted to talk about something that's important to me, and that is my word of the year. Yes, my word of the year. And if you don't know what the word of the year is, it is about establishing a word that helps to navigate your life throughout the year, a word that you can really hold on to that really helps you to fill your life with intention and to really just have something to focus on for the year. And some people choose words, some people choose phrases, and how you choose your word is up to you, really. You can use ChatGPT to help you to establish that. That's how I did mine, is that I looked at ChatGPT. I actually worked through a workshop that one of my friends, Cami, had put together. Cami was on the podcast. I'll go ahead and reference that podcast in this particular episode. But I really wanted to talk about the word of the year because you can establish it. It's something that comes to mind as your intention for the year. So if you remember, or if you don't, if you're joining us for the first time, my word of the year last year was abundance. And that was, I did a painting. I commemorated it with a painting, and you can see that I put it in different colors, and I'll go ahead and put this in the show notes. But you can see dance was something on there. And I really was going to get into dance. And yes, I did get into dance. I went back to belly dancing classes, and I had a great time. Found a new studio, found new friends. It was a great time. I didn't dance all year, but I certainly danced the second half of the year. But I want to say that my word of the year, and Daisy Bell is coming to join the podcast as normal. I want to say that the word of the year for me last year was abundance. And I started off the year and I went throughout the whole year in abundance. But this is going to bring me to my word of the year for 2026. So abundance to me is that I'm very giving. I'm very giving of my time. Hold on. Cat, give me a second. Okay, maybe she just sits on my lap this entire time and doesn't bother the podcast. Yeah, she's a big cat. She's 20% Maine Coon. So she is a big, big cat. But abundance to me means that I am giving. I am giving of things that I have. And that is my time, my energy. And that also means my resources too, money and all sorts of things that I could give to other people. But the thing is that when you give and give and give and give, that unfortunately kind of empties you out quite a bit. If you know of the concept of How Full Is Your Bucket, which is a great book, by the way, highly recommend. When you have a bucket, and let's just imagine that there's an imaginary bucket on top of your head, or you're lugging it around, whatever. Everybody has a bucket, and that bucket is their abundance of, no, I'm going to say abundance. It's all their love and their energy and everything in there. And when you are constantly pouring into other people's bucket from your bucket, and you're not getting your bucket refilled, you eventually become empty. And that's unfortunately what happened to me in 2026, is that I gave so much. I coached people. I'm a health coach, as you know, for free in 2026 that really needed it. I helped a lot of clients for free because I felt like I had a lot of abundance. But by the end of 2026, I really was empty. I didn't have and Buddy's trying to join the podcast now too. Buddy, do you want to come up here? Now I got the cat and the dog. Here we go. All right. All right. All right. So now I got the cat. Oh, okay. All right. I got the cat and the dog on my lap now to join the podcast. So one thing I do want to note, though, is that when I wasn't living in abundance, meaning that what I had extra was going towards other people. It was everything that I had, all my energy, all my love, all my money, everything that I was pouring into other people's buckets. And anytime I saw a GoFundMe come up, absolutely, I donated to it. Anytime that I saw something that somebody needed, absolutely. I spent money, to go on a birthday trip for a friend, even though I didn't have the resources at the time. And, it was something that and like I said, I gave to a lot of clients, a lot of people that I work with in the experience side and consulting, people that I was giving into and coaching, but it wasn't my abundance. It was everything that I had. And I gave it all away. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that I completely emptied my bucket. And by the end of the year, I was drained. I unfortunately kind of cocooned a little bit, and it was really hard for me. I think that a lot of people probably noticed that, a little bit, about me, but I was completely spent by the end of the year. And it's not, I always say this, it's not just January 1st kind of resets everything. Of course, I carried it with me until January. And that was, something that was, it just kind of felt like December continued into January. And I know I'm like, hey, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. And we're actually quite far into January. But that whole, like, what do they call that? The we're at the in between Christmas and New Year's, and you kind of don't know what day it is and what time it is and everything. It was because I completely spent, and I had given so much. So when I sat down to do my word of the year, I really didn't want it to be abundance again, because even though I learned my lesson about what abundance is, I really wanted it to be something that was really true to myself. Because if you think about it, abundance means that I am giving of myself and my resources and everything to other people. And, it was really about making sure other people were okay and making sure other people were happy. But I wasn't doing that for myself. And so when I went through the exercise, and like I said, I used ChatGPT to be able to establish that in the workshop that Cami put together. Like I said, there's other ways that you can do it. It's just kind of sitting down and thinking of certain words, that help guide you. But when the word had come up, I actually, it was one of those things. It was like when Harry Potter got his wand. It was like, or maybe like Jeff Goldblum here. Yes, I'm wearing my Jeff Goldblum shirt. But that's what happened to me, is that when that word came up, I realized that that was going to be my word of the year. And before I reveal it, which you might guess it if I describe it. So one of the things is that I was, as a child, I had a lot of change in my life. And we were poor. So we moved a little bit, when I was a child. Then my biological father left, and our family completely uprooted from where we were living in Massachusetts. We moved across country to California, and elementary school, I think I had 6 elementary schools. It was just getting tossed around quite a bit and completely being unrooted from everything. And everywhere I went, and every new school I went to, and every new home we went to, that's where I had to become instantly comfortable. I had to become instantly comfortable with the situation, new friends, or people that I needed to instantly become friends with, or else you're going to be the weirdo at school. But that's what happened to me. And I really, really wanted to establish myself in different places because we had so much change. And it was really hard because when you go to a new school, you don't know how long you're going to be there. And that was something that it's like, can I establish friends? And oh, am I going to miss them when I leave? Am I going to leave? I don't know. And there was a lot of change that was happening. And even in my adult life, there was a lot of change that had happened. A lot of you know my first husband, when we got a divorce, it was really hard on me because he talked really badly about me to our friends and spread lies about me because he was hurt. And that was his way of getting back at me. And he turned them against me. So I went from having friends and a friend group, and of course having a husband, to not having anything at all. And in fact, he practically turned my mom against me. So it was really hard to not have support during that time. But what I really could hold on to was my work during that time. Well, in 2016, I got laid off from that job, and I thought I was going to be there for the rest of my life. No, not the rest of my life, but at least until retirement. And I wasn't there. And so at that time, I realized something that was important to me is to have longevity, somewhere, to be able to be really established. And that's something that I call untethering. Untethering to me means that I have severed a tie and I'm floating out in space, and it's not a very comfortable place for me because I thought in my adulthood that I had more control. As a child, I didn't have control over where I was living or what school I was going to or anything like that. But as an adult, I really felt like, oh gosh, I have the control, over my own life and my own destiny, and I can establish myself in places. And that is not how my career went. My career was very much up and down, and I found myself in a lot of uncomfortable situations, really trying to establish myself in places to be able to do that. And there was a lot. I mean, if you read about my career history, there's a lot of layoffs. I get to one company and it's like, this is great. We're rocking and rolling. We're getting a team together, blah, blah, blah. And then, layoffs happen. And that happens to me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not my first rodeo as far as layoffs. I can do this, get another job, going, rocking and rolling, and layoffs happen. And this is unfortunate. It's unfortunate in the type of role that I was in, which is working on people or employee experience. And that's not something that always companies value. So career was not awesome. Relationships were not awesome as well, too. And I do find, that I really do try to establish myself to be able to have some normalcy and some consistency in my life, and things just go haywire sometimes. And those are all of those external factors. So when I talk about like abundance, I was putting myself out into those external factors. And that was something that I feel like, because I'm just a very giving person and I give back to people. I give to people a lot. It was really hard to see that at the end of the year that my bucket was completely empty, and I didn't have a lot to fill my bucket. And I also realized too that it's really hard for me to accept help from other people. It's hard for me to accept love from other people just because of that inconsistency in my life, and especially my inconsistency in love as well. So that is something that I realized with the abundance. I was doing a lot of external factors. I wasn't giving myself abundance. So this word of the year for 2026 is rooted. Rooted is going to help me to, I'm still going to be generous with people, but I'm also going to make sure that I also fill my own bucket, and that I really root myself in things, and that I really look and commit to things, and, be able to really establish myself in places. So, side story. I moved to Houston, Texas in 2008. Sorry, 2008. So it's been, oh gosh, geez Louise, 2008. Oh, I can't do math right now. I don't know why the maths are not good, but it's been a long time since I've been here, 16 years, something like that. Anyway, oh God, please don't. But I gotta say that I have always not been attached to Houston, just because if you look at my past, I've moved so much. I feel like sometimes I've never been in one place and, for a year. So when I moved to Houston, I thought like, okay, well, I don't get too attached to this city because I'm eventually going to leave this city, and I better not establish a lot of friendships or anything like that. But I did. I established some friendships here. And that was one thing that establishing friendships, of course, I have some of the best friends, and they're very supportive of me, and they understand of my complex with abundance. This is something that I coach my clients on quite a bit. And that is, I coach them on what I call pendulum swinging. So pendulum swinging means that if you can imagine a pendulum, and if it's in the center, but then of course the pendulum swings back and forth. And when people establish their New Year's resolutions and they say, I'm going to get out more, or I'm going to lose all of the weight, or whatever they want for themselves, they tend to swing in a pendulum. And if you're an introvert and your goal is to get out more and to see more people and to be more social, and you start doing that and you're just like going hard at it, your pendulum is like swinging in one direction really hard. But what's going to happen is the pendulum is going to swing back, and you're going to lose all your energy, and you might give up on your New Year's resolutions, which is why people give up on their New Year's resolutions, because they go hard. They're just like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then eventually they get tired and deflated, and the pendulum swings back in the opposite way, the way that they don't want to go. So there has to be some balance. So with abundance, yes, absolutely. I will still give. Will I give what I don't, or what I should say, what I don't have extra? No, I'm not going to do that this year. I am going to be still giving of my time. If it's extra time, I'm still going to be giving of my resources that I have, if I have extra. But I need to fill my own bucket. So that's what Rooted is going to do for me this year. Rooted is going to help me to root within myself and be able to establish myself, and be able to really root myself in Houston, Texas, really root myself in my business, my friendships, all of the things, to be able to help me to really establish, I know who I am. I just don't often tell people who I am, because I'm worried about the lack of love. Hey, talk about it, the lack of love. And that's something that I really want to make sure that I'm doing that. So when I talk about not being comfortable in Houston, just because I was like, I don't need to be comfortable here, I really am going to get out and explore the city more and, really start to love Houston and be able to get a little bit more rooted in Houston. I'm still going to also get rooted in the love for myself too. That is very important. I feel like I have a lot of love for myself, but I'm also going to be more accepting of other people's love too, and making sure that it's reciprocal. Is that the right word? That it's something that I'm allowing other people to fill my bucket just as much as I fill theirs. And so that is something that is going to be very important for me as well. As we work through this year, it's going to be very important. And that is something that's going to be my theme for the year. So you're going to see rooted activity from me. You're going to see rooted thoughts, rooted, things for me. And I would love to hear from you too. I have an email, stressmesspodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear if you have a word of the year, or if you have an idea of what is rooted to you. And I'll be more than happy to share your word of the year, your stories, all of those things on this podcast. If you're willing, or you're letting me read it out loud. I won't read it out loud unless I have your permission. But I would really love to hear from you and everything that you're doing this year to be more, if you're going with abundance, if you're going with rooted, if you're going with intentional, whatever your word of the year is. Or even if you haven't established a word of the year, what are your focuses? What are your goals? What are the things that you want to do this year to be able to establish yourself more in your life, to improve your life? Let me know. I would love it. stressmesspodcast@gmail.com. That's the email address. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble, maybe. I don't know. But I really just wanted to get on here and wish everybody a happy 2026. And hopefully, if your word of the year is rooted, that you join me in being rooted as well. Thanks, everybody. Bye.